Today I have my Nursing Mothers Support Group co-leader April with me, and we're going to talk a little bit about workplace nursing mothers rooms. So as part of the Affordable Care Act, some guidelines came out for workplace nursing mothers rooms. So in an ideal world, all of you would have a nice place to pump your breast milk at your workplace. But we know that unfortunately that's not the case, and that sometimes you have to go advocate for yourself to your employer to actually get that space. So I wanted to let you know what is required by the law, and then some other things that we consider must-haves for nursing mothers rooms, and then also some nice-to-haves. So the law says that the employer shall provide a place other than a bathroom that is shielded from view and free from intrusion. So when you look at that, I really see three must-haves from the law. It can't be a bathroom. It must be shielded from view, so it can't have a big window or anything on the door. It has to be private, and then free from intrusion. So that means lockable. One thing that April and I insist upon at our workplace, and is now in our workplace standard for nursing mothers rooms, is that the room has to be lockable from the inside, but then has to be able to be accessed by a key from outside.
For emergencies.
Yeah, so you don't want to just have like a slider or something like that, because if you did have an emergency, someone would need to get in there. So those are really what's required by the law, and we'll post a link in our comments so that you can access that. Now, April, I think some states actually have more stringent requirements as well, correct?
So some states actually require access to such nursing places for longer periods of time. And others also have laws making sure that people can nurse in public, that they can nurse during jury duty and in the workplace. So there's different types of laws for different states, and we can actually put a link about those as well.
Okay, fantastic. So those are the law requirements. And so if you're really getting a lot of pushback from your employer, you can just let them know that it can be as simple as someone's office that has a lock on it that
And no
you
windows.
can use. Yeah, and no windows that you could use at the time, or a room that you could go in and pull some blinds or something like that. It really doesn't have to be that complicated.
We actually say functional, not frou-frou.
But if your employer is going to set aside a dedicated space for nursing mothers, there are some other must-haves that you need to talk to them about. So number one is an electrical outlet. Almost all breast pumps now are electrical. They're much more efficient than using a hand pump. And some do have battery packs, but that would really drain your batteries to go pump 2-3 times a day using a battery pack. So our standards at our workplace say an electrical outlet, and we consider that an absolute must-have. The other must-haves are a counter and an adjustable chair. Women are different heights, and so we need that chair so that it can be ergonomic, and if at all possible, you want that chair to be wipeable.
Because there are spills, and spills happen.
It's nice to have a wastebasket in the room, and you may have to work with your employer to make sure that the janitors know that that room needs to be on the cleaning schedule. Sometimes they think that it's just a closet. So someone needs to be coming in, cleaning the counter, mopping the floor, and emptying the wastebasket on a daily basis, especially if the room is getting frequently used. And then the final must-have that I've listed is some paper towels or ideally some baby wipes, so that you can clean up and deal with kind of wiping the spills if possible. The other thing to consider is lighting. So April, can you tell us a little bit about why you want a light switch and not a motion sensor in the room?
So at our company, we're obviously trying to be cost conscious, and we have found through trial and error that when the facilities groups installed a sensor, oftentimes, sadly, the pumping mother would be standing or sitting still doing her thing, and then the light would go out because she was sitting still. And so if she did not have a hands-free system, then she would have to take something away from her breast to wave and figure out how to get the light back on as she's sitting in the dark. So obviously a switch system is much better for the user because they can control the on-off, and hopefully we'll just remind our users that when you exit the room, please turn the light off.
All right. Now, so those are our other must-haves, especially for a dedicated room. And so please try to get those from your employer. And then there's two, what I would say, nice to haves that I almost consider must-haves. One of those is to have a sink nearby. You have to, rinse those parts out and after each pumping and make sure that you get cleaned up. And it can be really embarrassing for moms if they have to walk out of some room and walk across a workspace to a restroom to rinse those parts out. So ideally the sink is in the room, but if not in the room, if it's like right next to a restroom where you can just kind of come out real quick and make it to the sink, then that's a really good setup.
And to remind people that you need warm or hot water because the breast milk has fatty substances in it, so the warm hot water helps dissolve those when you're cleaning up your parts.
Yeah, just that's another thing to talk to your facilities person about is a lot of the automatic sinks now don't let you adjust the temperature.
And usually it's too cold to do much.
And then the other, I would say almost must to have is a mirror. A lot of the time you're getting dressed right after, putting your shirt back on, you want to make sure everything's in place, want to make sure everything's covered up, and that you didn't leak some milk on your shirt or something before you walk back into the workplace. So those are really the key things. We can also get into some nice to haves like bulletin boards to post information.
And your baby's picture, because oftentimes you looking at your baby's picture helps the letdown process, and that makes your whole event more efficient.
Yeah, good point, April. So there's a lot of nice things that your employer can do, painting the walls to where it doesn't look like an institutionalized room. So you can take it as far as you want, but those are really the things I think that'll make it the most successful. So I wanted to talk just a minute about kind of my favorite setups for nursing mothers' rooms, and you can add yours too, April. So while it can't be a bathroom, you can have a separate room within a bathroom that has its own walls, and that's one of my favorite setups because then people just see you going to the nursing mother's room. They just think you're going to the bathroom, and they don't necessarily know that you're always going to the nursing mother's room when you go in there. And then also the sink is right there, very handy. So that's one of my favorite setups. My absolute favorite setup that I've seen is at our technical center. We have a dedicated nursing mother's room where you walk in and there's kind of a little lobby with some storage lockers for the moms to put their nursing bags in and the sinks. And then off of that little lobby, there's 3 separate nursing stations that are each lockable. And I love that setup because I can go in there and put my bag in there in the morning. And so then when I leave my desk, people don't necessarily see my bag and know that I'm going to go pump. They might just think I'm going to go to a meeting or take a phone call. So I really like that setup, and I also like it because I can always count on one of those 3 stations being open. I don't have to, worry if one other user is there. So that's my absolute favorite.
It also allows more efficiency for all the workers using those NMRs, because if you can come out and do your parts not in the station, that allows someone else to go in to pump while you're rinsing, and so that throughput helps with efficiency.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any other favorite setups that you've seen?
Well, I think that you've covered the dedicated rooms. Regarding accommodations, which is where you're using another room for the purpose of a nursing mother room, so it could be a conference room or an office. I think that a lot of times that's kind of one of those you need to figure out how it works for you type thing. The ones that I had used prior to having dedicated rooms, it was long ago, oftentimes if I was using somebody else's office, I made sure that I very carefully moved their papers away just in case I did spill, because you obviously want to protect the other person's property and their workspace, so be cognizant of that and be respectful. Also make sure that it does lock in terms of the door, and all blinds are closed if there are windows. Oftentimes, if the desk was too busy, crazy, I would pull, oftentimes they had like a side table or something, so I would actually pump kind of in the corner of the room, away from the desk space. So again, you just kind of have to figure out what would work best to not make a mess, be respectful, and be efficient.
Great. Okay, so let us know any of your other favorite Nursing Mothers Room features, and we're going to do another video about how to kind of do a walk around if you are in your building and looking for a space. So stay tuned for that video.